Welcome to No Magic Bullet podcast series. What's in Your Toolbox is a monthly podcast on mental health. I am your host, Bobby K., comedian, mental health advocate, and executive producer of the documentary No Magic Bullet, What's in Your Toolbox, an honest discussion on mental health. I am 70 years young, suffer from Tourette syndrome, and love doing these podcasts that always reminds me to practice what I preach.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 4, season 5 of What's in Your Toolbox, a podcast from No Magic Bullet. We're going all across the country today to Oakland, California. The universe has brought me together with my friend that you're going to be introduced to. She was an Uber driver that picked up my friends Jack and Fern in San Francisco from music that Jack was doing. Obviously, I've told you before, Jack's music is in the intro of the podcast. And they said they only spent 5 minutes with this young lady, but they said, you've got to meet her. She's got to be on your podcast. So we connected, and she has a website and a business called My Stable Life. And you're going to learn all about her. You're going to see that she's in her Uber right now because this is called Drive to Thrive. And definitely it's a tool because she's not in a doctor's office having psychiatrists give her psychiatric drugs. So on my March episode, I had indicated that this next guest would be called Drive to Thrive. So without ado, I'm going to introduce you to my friend, who I've never met, but I feel like we're kindred spirits. Her name is Speedy. Zabala. Seppi, I call her Speedy. And she's a certified medical peer support specialist and a speaker and advocate for mental health. She founded My Stable Life in 2025, a nonprofit building communities that, along with horses, helped individuals recover from mental health crises and reintegrate into life with family and friends, building back better. Through powerful storytelling, lived experience, and strategic partnerships, Speedy is working to transform how society understands mental health, replacing stigma with empathy, hope, and the belief that full recovery is possible. Can you not have a better guest than that? So, without ado, there she is in her Uber. She pulled over from her busy day. Hello, yes. Speedy.
Hello, Bobby.
Listen, you know what? We finally made it. We made a little attempt before to do that, and Speedy had some logistics to work out, but she's called me back, and here we are. And it's clearly, Speedy, the universe that has brought us together, because that your bio and what you do is exactly what I do. So tell me, how do we know each other?
You mean, you said it. I picked up your friend Jack and his wife.
Fern.
Yep, Fernie, you like to call her.
Right.
And they had just done an open mic. I guess he's a guitarist, right? Did he have a guitar with him? I took him up the hill. It was maybe a 5-minute ride. And somehow I don't know how, it was months ago. I've only been driving Uber 2 months. So I think they were in my first week, Bobby. And I told them a little bit about why I was driving Uber. Maybe it's because I was telling people it's my first week and I started this nonprofit and I need to keep the money coming in while the nonprofit's growing. And they said, we have a friend in Canada that's got a similar nonprofit. And he sure enough connected us on email. And then here we are a couple months later doing a podcast.
And you and I came up with the title Drive to Thrive because one of the things that you said to me was, one of my tools is the fact that I'm an Uber driver. Now, in my 5 years of doing this, I've never had anybody say that being an Uber driver was a tool. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I decided that the nonprofit's a lot of work. Starting a nonprofit is some heavy lifting. And I needed to monetize things that I already enjoy, like things that bring me energy and joy. Driving is one of those things. I love driving. gives me energy. I do my best thinking in the car. I've heard this from other people. I've always loved to road trip. Um, I have a great car. I love my car. It's a Mercedes EQB 300 4MATIC
Oh
baby.
my God.
And it is fully electric. So there's just a cleanness and a smoothness to how it moves. And I love that I'm not in the gas and oil game anymore. I hated it. So, yeah, I really have found a lot of joy in, because the other thing I love about Uber driving is that you get to meet people. And that's also one of my favorite things, meeting new people, having conversations. When I was a college student, I used to love getting in the taxi cabs in DC and talking with the taxi drivers or somebody on the plane. It's like those conversations where you're probably never going to see each other again. And I get energy from that. I really do. But more than one passenger has connected me to something that has been so meaningful. So I know it's something I'm meant to do right now. And after a couple months, I've learned how to make some good money doing it too. So yeah, it's definitely a big tool right now. It's something that is allowing me to thrive at what would otherwise be a very difficult time.
Okay, listen, this is an honest discussion about mental health. I know that you've had some challenges in your life with regards to mental health. So, how does the joy and the energy that you get from driving and talking to people and just being a great human being help your mental health?
What can I say? Like, the Uber experience is pretty special. Uber did something incredible. We would have thought it was impossible. I was always told as a kid, you don't get into strangers' cars. What are you doing? And now the whole world is doing it. Uber got us all getting into strangers' cars. And I have to say, the passengers that I pick up, I would have to call it magic makes it sound weird, maybe to some. More than one passenger, I would say most of my passengers, we make a connection. Maybe it's just human to human. Maybe it's somebody who just left someone at the hospital who was on life support and they pulled the plug. Or maybe it's a mom trying to get her kid to school. I feel like I drop into people's lives and I get to experience a moment in their life. And who knows what that moment is? But I try to show up with everything they need to feel safe, to get to where they're going safely. I have chargers so they can charge their phones. I can't tell you what it's like, Bobby, when someone gets in the car and they go, "Oh, yes, you have a charger. Woohoo!" They're at 1% on their phone and I have a fast charger for them or a bottle of water. They love that it's a nice car, that they're comfortable, and that makes me feel good.
So you're helping them because they're obviously either going somewhere to have a good time or they're coming from a traumatic time or a hospital. How does it help you?
Makes me feel good to help people. I'm going to say that right now. I meditate daily on the practice of service and serving others. I have to be careful it's not at my own cost. You serve others out of the overflow that you have. And my car and my driving, everything about me in a car is overflow. I'm a very good driver. A couple of my passengers have been like, "Hey, that was nice job." Like they really appreciate what I offer. And I do feel like I'm of service, and that is powerful. It really is powerful medicine
Well,
to be of
let's
service.
talk about your meditation because on your website it says she's a horsewoman trained in yoga and meditation and practices healing trauma. So that's not
Yeah,
done by being an Uber driver. You have a non-for-profit called My Stable Life. And
I sure do.
that My Stable Life link is going to be in the show notes so that people can check you out and see all the good things you do. But tell me a little bit about My Stable Life.
Yep, my stable life was born out of my need to continue to take care of myself as I support others. So I recently became a Medi-Cal peer support specialist, certified C what is it, CMPSS, and it basically formalized my lived experience as someone that manages my own mental health and also helps others with their recovery and management of their mental health. Um, so my stable life was really my way of making what I needed to do my work also, right? So something that I have to do for myself and I have to do for others, now making it something that I can offer and continue on that path of taking care of myself. I found, Bobby, that it was really difficult to do that in a typical life, in a typical setting. I had a great experience in corporate America. However, it wasn't easy to advocate for myself, to make sure that my employer understood what I needed. I was able to negotiate accommodations with my employer eventually after 10 years at the firm. But I thought I would really design a life that allowed me to flourish in all the ways that I can.
So how did you design that life? What did you do?
So I have a great life with my horse. I get a lot of support and encouragement and joy and grounding from my relationship with my horse. And I realized in the 5 years that I've had him, you don't really need to ride your horse. You don't have to compete with your horse. You can actually have a friend who's a horse. And they are the most compassionate, empathetic, shoulder to cry on. They are the best communicators. I watched my horse in a herd of horses. I learned how to communicate from him, how to set boundaries more effectively. And he keeps me on my toes. He lets me know when I'm not in the moment and I'm not present. And that is really powerful medicine, to practice being present. I wanted to share that experience with others. I've noticed that horses are used quite a bit in therapy programs. So, a lot of the residential facilities that I've seen, a lot of their programming includes horses. And I am partnering with a few equine therapy organizations that bring people with mental health conditions to horses. And it's powerful stuff, Bobby. 100 years ago, everyone had a horse, at least one horse.
Well,
They're hard to
now
find.
they're hard to find. So do you have, in your practice of your mental health and your horsewoman and meditation, do you have people come somewhere and share your experience with your horse?
Yes, they come to the barn. They hang out with me, and my horse's name is William. The barn is in the middle of Redwood Regional Park, and the barn is actually maintained by the park. It's on a number of trailheads, so people come. Sometimes they just hike off the trail into the barn. Hey, their horse is here. And I've met a couple of friends that way that have kept coming back. One of them connected me with this amazing organization called the American Medical Women's Association. And they have periodic, like every 6 months, they have a Shark Tank where they hear innovative ideas for healthcare. And they've invited me twice now to come and share about my stable life and the innovations with horses. And they love it. They've been the best incubator for me and my stable life. That's where people come. They come to the barn. It's a special place. If you don't like it at first, you'll learn to love it. Yeah.
Well, listen, I will tell you that I live 2.5 hours north of Toronto, Canada. World headquarters of No Magic Bullet is on Lake Eugenia, and we do have a place called Hope Haven. And Hope Haven is dedicated to providing exceptional equine assisted services for individuals with disabilities or unique needs. And it empowers individuals to explore equestrian activities, nurturing self esteem, and essential life skills. Using adaptive techniques, specialized equipment, and a compassionate approach, we make the world of horses accessible to all. So there
Yes.
you are in Oakland, and I will include in the show notes a link to Hope Haven, and we will be having their executive director on at a later date because it seems that this animal therapy and horse therapy is something that's brand new to me, but a lot of people know about it. But I want to talk about your business because you're a connector. I'm a connector, and I love connecting because that's one of my tools. I actually connect by doing stand-up comedy. Most people get nervous standing up in front of crowds. It calms me. So tell me a little bit about you as a connector, because I know that it was a speaker coach or a stand-up comedian that motivated you to explore some of these techniques. Is that correct?
Yes, I was hooked up. My psychologist at the time in 2015 read an article in the Wall Street Journal about this organization called the Stability Network. And it was right at the time that I had very courageously asked for accommodations at the office. And this article was about a woman who worked in corporate America, and she also got accommodations for her mental health condition. And she started a foundation. She started a organization called the Stability Network. And they had a couple of coaches that were former stand-up comedians turned storytellers, and they helped us tell our story with levity and crafting and thoughtfulness so that when we were in front of an audience, we could really land right where we wanted. And the process of learning how to tell my story about my mental health was profound. And the Stability Network also used an organization called Living Proof Advocacy to help us tell our stories. Living Proof is a book called Living Proof, Telling Your Story to Make a Difference, and using their methods and a monthly conference call where we workshopped our stories. It was just powerful. It was a really amazing experience. And by 2018, 2019, I was going to the Moth and telling stories. The empowerment that I got from no longer living with this secret or no longer sharing about my mental health and having like eyes glaze over or subject change. You really learn how to talk about it in a way that's engaging. And I'm not going to say fun, like some of those things that we share about are really tough, but you just learn how to craft something so that it lands and people are motivated to learn more or to give more or to get involved. Yeah.
It's crazy because mental health is very different for different people, very the same for a lot of people. My story is I went to a group called Mood Disorder Association of Ontario, and they had a program called Laughing Like Crazy. And it was for me to learn how to do comedy so that I could stand up in front of an audience. Now I went there because I loved standing up in front of the audience, and I took it a little bit farther. But we haven't rehearsed this. I want to ask you something. One of the things that I found when I was in that Laughing Like Crazy group was where I was in the continuum, because when I went into it, I thought I was the lowest of low. And because it was group therapy, I found out that I was probably one of the more functional people in the group. Did you have a similar experience?
I do. I have my moments where I have my moments, Bobby, where I'm not myself. And the rest of the time, I'm a pretty powerful person.
Right.
Those times when I'm not myself are crushing.
Right.
They're so disruptive and they're so disturbing that it can almost negate the whole rest of the time. I could be, they call it high functioning, but I could be like the person you love the most 95 or 98% of the time. But that 2% of the time that I'm not, it's whoa, I don't know about her.
Were there other people in the group that had similar issues than you, or did they have different issues?
So what was interesting about being in the Stability Network was that you can go online to the stabilitynetwork.org and all of our profiles are still up. And I used to love reading people's stories because each of our profiles has a photo, and then they asked us some questions about how we manage our mental health. We all pretty much did the same thing, right? A combination of therapy, medicine, yoga, meditation. And I found it remarkable that the same things worked for all of us, even with a variety of diagnoses and symptoms, self-care, something like yoga and meditation that involves mind, body, and soul together, and healthy boundaries, good diet, um, careful limits, right? So that, for example, like I don't watch scary movies at night anymore. That's when you usually watch them. Who watches a horror flick at like noon?
Right.
But I can't do that. I won't sleep. And then if I don't sleep, it's a problem. So there's just things. I don't drink coffee at lunch or dinner or after dinner. That's a practice, common practice. Oh, would you like a cup of coffee with your dessert, ma'am? Sure. And then I don't sleep. So there's things that I learned that other people do very naturally, like even drinking alcohol. Like I never drank a lot, but I didn't need to.
Yeah.
It was a problem with just one or two glasses. So you learn, like in a society where people do things very casually that don't affect them, you have to say no. And that will protect you and your mental health. But that's a learning curve. And unfortunately, it's a lot of trial and error. And so not everybody comes along, but the people who do are pretty special. So you've got some incredible people in your life at the end of that journey.
Before we talk about the people in your life, here you and I are. When people meet me, they go, "You're depressed? How can you be depressed? Like you are the wildest guy I've ever met," but they don't know what happens when I'm by myself. And you, just from meeting you on the this Zoom or this podcast and talking to you a number of times, you are the most positive, fantastic, incredible person with such great energy. How can it be that people like us are depressives?
It's such a good question, Bobby, and thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate it. I have people ask me a lot, like, "You're glowing. What do you do? How do you do it? What's your secret?" And I remember the first person to ask me that, I said, "First you got to have a deadly diagnosis."
Yeah.
Because honestly, that is my honest answer. It's almost like you take care of yourself or else.
Yeah.
Right. And other people have that, but maybe not to the degree that we do, Bobby.
Yeah.
Like if I drink that cup of coffee at dinner and I don't sleep, I'm in trouble. Or if I let toxic people in, that's the other thing. If people have toxic behavior, most folks are just like, all right, that's them. No biggie. I am so sensitive. That toxic person could take me out. And then the other thing I tell people is it's a lot of work taking care of yourself. That's why people fail to actually,
Sure, it's hard work.
because it's so much work. And yet it's so worth it. And I'm really grateful that my mental health condition is almost like a gun to my head. I better do this or else. I better go swim or else. I better eat well and exercise. I better hang out with my horse. I better meditate. I better go to group therapy and meetings because it really is or else. And I also I like the joy state. I like the state of joy that deep work gives me, right? The other thing I can't afford to have is resentment. If I don't let things go, my toolkit, the three big ones, Bobby, in my toolbox are an open mind, because you never know where help and healing can come from. It can come from the zaniest places or the most unexpected places. Keep an open mind, right? The other one is permission. Give myself permission to live differently, to do things differently than everyone else. That's a tough one because it's hard to stand out. You already stand out because you have this mental health condition. You're already stigmatized. Now you want to do things differently. Oh, you're going to be late sometimes. Or, oh, like permission to do things that you're really not supposed to, like social norms, right?
Right.
Like I give myself permission to be late. I give myself permission to change my mind, to take care of myself, to say no. As a woman, it's tough sometimes to advocate for yourself. And then that last one is grace. I give myself a lot of grace. I give other people grace. If people don't give me grace, I give it to me for them. I think it's just those three things are the building blocks of my mental stability and my joyful life.
Define grace for me. What is grace?
My grace practice looks like this. Somebody does something that really makes me mad. And I take it to prayer and meditation, and this voice is, it's who they are.
Oh my God.
It's who they are.
Well, listen.
Can you accept it? Can you accept it? Can you accept that this is who they are? It's got nothing to do with you.
Right.
This is just who they are. Can you accept it? That's what I hear most consistently in my meditation. This is who they are. Can you accept it? So grace is that acceptance. Grace is the understanding that it's not about me. They're not against me. This is who they are. And then I just get to decide who I'm going to be. And I get to decide how I hold them in my life, because it doesn't mean that I tolerate things that are unhealthy or hurtful. However, I don't have to carry the poison of resentment if I have grace. I have a gracious attitude.
Well, listen, I'm telling you that the way that you have said this is so powerful because, like I said, I've had so many people on and they really haven't succinctly put it into 3 little buckets like that. Now, we're almost finished, but before that, I have a BAS, Bob's Amazing Support Team, and you have a SAS, Speedy's Amazing Support Team. So everybody's got to have a support team. I know that you probably have one. Tell me a little bit about who those people are.
Bobby, I am grateful for the people that have been there for decades. Some of them are friends. Some of them are friends I met when I was 23 years old.
Right.
Some of them are friends when I met when my kids were in elementary school.
Right.
Some of them are those friends' parents. Some of them I met at support group. I have a handful of people that I can call at any time, and they know me, they see me, and they hear me. And that makes all the difference. It really does. Like, I need, and you know what? Sometimes it's just one person. Sometimes not everyone can see me, but there's always one person. One of those 5 or 10. My support team is also a psychologist and a psychiatrist. It's interesting because if you don't take medicine, insurance doesn't pay very readily for your psychiatrist. So apparently psychiatrists are equated with prescriptions at this point. And then the therapy is delegated to the psychologists and the therapists. So I found it interesting. Early in my recovery, when I was diagnosed and needed support, I had a team of a psychiatrist team that worked together. And I thought that worked really well. And Kaiser also has an interesting model of team. I like this idea of a team, right? A therapy team, one that can help with meds, one that helps with talking. Talking really helps me. I had my same psychologist, the one that told me about the Stability Network, and he really supported me, really, for 20 years. And he retired. And so I had to find somebody else. And I had Kaiser at the time, and Kaiser doesn't give you someone every week necessarily. So I tried a lot of different things, group therapy and seeing someone every 6 weeks, but nothing works as well as a space where I can go every week and just share in this safe container with a trained psychologist or therapist. It really does wonders for my stability. So I'm very grateful that I have one now. He's working out well. It takes some time.
Yeah.
It was great to have the experience of someone new this far into my recovery, because I was like, oh, I forgot about this part. It's hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like getting to know someone and them knowing you, like for something that is meant to be so intimate, when you first meet someone, they're a stranger and you're a stranger. So you got to give it a minute, unless there's a deal breaker in there. But if there isn't, you have to give it a sec. And this guy's working out, and I didn't think he was going to, but I gave it a chance. I kept an open mind, Bobby, and he's working out great.
Listen,
he's going to watch
that.
Shout out.
Fantastic.
Rick.
A shout out to him, whoever he is. But we've run out of time, unfortunately,
Okay.
Speedy. We could talk forever, and I'm going to have you back as a guest next season to catch up with you. but you have been so succinct and so helpful. And as I always say, if we can only help one person, so if people see your website and get in touch with you, you theoretically could be a virtual support system for them, right?
I love it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do so much online. It's amazing.
Listen, this is Bobby Colvin and
Speedy Zabala, also known as Seppi, also known as Speedeh. I have so many names. Bobby calls me Speedy.
Okay, listen, this is us signing off saying thank you so much for listening to this episode of What's in Your Toolbox. Everybody, that was pretty fantastic because we've never met, but we have met. I don't know where we met, but we have met before. We are cut from the same cloth. We are both positive people that struggle. And I know that you'll find that there's lots of people out there that are listeners that positive people but struggle. So at the end of these podcasts, I always like to take something that I got from the paper. And even though I'm recording this at the beginning of April, next week is the Masters. And in the Masters, there's a guy named Gary Woodland. And Gary Woodland won the Valspar Championships last week. But Gary Woodland opened up his struggles with PTSD after a brain surgery. And he's going to be in the Masters, and by the time this airs, maybe he'll be the winner. I've sure got him in my Masters pool. But he talks about he chose to share his PTSD diagnosis with Golf Channel on Monday at the Players' Championship in an emotional interview, saying he's determined to stop hiding behind the difficulty of his recovery. I can't waste energy anymore hiding this, and I'm blessed with a lot of support out here on the tour. Everyone's just been amazing. Every week I come out and I'm so excited, happy that I'm back. So I appreciate that love and support. Speedy, Bobby Colvin, and whoever you are, we're not playing the Masters, but we are just like Gary Woodland. Woodland says he hopes that sharing his struggles can reach others who are dealing with PTSD. So there you go. A professional golf player who also suffers. So in conclusion, Speedy has lived experience. It sounds like a lot of it. I didn't get to touch on some of the things she said, but I have lived experience. She has lived experience. And everybody else that's on these podcasts have lived experience. And who better to learn from than somebody that struggles every day? I'm Sunset Bob, Fly Fishing Bob. I got my Fly Fishing Bob hat on right now because by the time this airs, fly fishing season will have opened up in Ontario. Crazy Bob, and now I'm No Magic Bullet Bob. So geography does not limit people who have challenges, mental health challenges. Speedy's in Oakland, I'm in Lake Eugenia. Who knows where you are listening? But we believe that we can help you, and I think it was the universe that brought Speedy and I together, and Jackie and Fern. So this podcast will be on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch Speedy even though she's in her car and see her smiling face. Who would believe that she could be a poster child for having tools to deal with daily struggles? In the show notes will be a connection to her website where you'll also be able to get in touch with her, and also a link to Hope Haven, which is up here near where I live. So our next episode, we'll be going to Kelowna, British Columbia, to talk to a gentleman that I've known for a long time, and the podcast is called CS Life. So remember, below you can subscribe, you can share this podcast, because sharing is caring. So without ado, I want to say thank you, Speedy, and this is Bob Colvin signing off saying thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to No Magic Bullet, What's in Your Toolbox. I am not a doctor, but I have lived experience in dealing with the many challenges of mental health. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share with others who will benefit from learning about tools they can use to deal with their own mental health challenges. If we can help just one person, all this effort to bring this podcast to you is worth it.